So we got our new protagonist who can buff for his respective protagonist faction. Xeon is an incredible attacker who gives himself a ton of damage buffs, which is great combined with this unique mechanic where he needs to finish the enemy. So let's go ahead and check out what that is all about, and I'll be showing you guys how to build him. So we see here with this talent, he gets more attack after taking action. If the unit has battled this turn and not eliminated an enemy, he gets Royal Fate, where initiating battle, he does more damage and attacks before the enemy for 2 turns. When initiating battle and dealing fatal damage, he can choose to use Mercy on them, causing them to be immobilized, unable to guard, attack, or use skills on their next turn, and applies Reluctant Battle, where the damage and healing received is reduced, which ignores immunity and cannot be dispelled for 2 turns. When using Mercy on the enemy, he recovers to full HP. So we see that he's really capable of doing a ton of damage. But this Reluctant Battle thing seems like a weird mechanic because why would you want them to live when the whole point of attacking an enemy is to, well, kill them? Especially when it comes to single target attackers like Xeon here. A weird thing about this is if the enemy has a revive, they'll still keep it even if you show Mercy to them. And by using Mercy on them, not only will he get healed up in a pinch, his other skill benefit from it. Doing so will give him a revive if he's within 3 blocks of that specific enemy. So with his classes, his infantry makes him bulky but slow. Meanwhile, his cavalry class is a lot more focused on offensive and has better mobility. Combined with his act again skill, even better. So choose whatever your preferences are. So with the Mastery Stones on armor, it'll be HP attack and defense. Headwear same thing, but you can do magic defense instead of defense. Then the last 2, HP attack and skill. But of course with accessory, you could do something else instead of skill, like either defense or magic defense. However, if you are PvPing, I would really recommend skill. And now we follow that logic to the Arena Stone, I highly recommend an offensive set, since Xeon really wants to kill his opponents to make use of his unique mechanic. So with his best soldiers, the Lizard Rider is going to be his best damaging soldier. The Stone-Winged Warrior, they can output some good damage and can survive range attacks. The Mechanical Dragon Knight, the same thing but with physical attacks. The Golden Knight are only good if you're running Cavalry Xeon, since they get more attack and defense if in that class, while also having damage reduction when at 100% HP. The Gallant Duelist is probably the best only as an infantry, since you do lose 1 extra mobility, but they can hit really hard. For his best weapons, as a cavalry, you can use the Routing Light, which does more damage the more blocks that you move. The Legion's Blade is an okay one, which gives you 5% more attack and defense if you have a faction buff effect, and since Xeon is a faction buffer himself, you can make it work. And this thing does start at 5% attack and defense when fully upgraded, so you're not going to get that 50% like you would normally think if you aren't familiar with this one. The Unstoppable Knight can be an alternative choice if you don't have that one, which I would say is the last resort thing. All it does is give you 5% more attack defense and magic defense if the enemy's HP is at full. So I would really recommend Sealed Guardian or Last Justice over this. If you don't have any of those, then the Unstoppable Knight it is. As an infantry, you will have access to use better equips like the Crystal Stinger, more crits, and defense ignore if he has a higher skill compared to the enemy. The Bone Crusher to disable armor or lower defense, Mimir to help with sustain. Then it comes down to either Sealed Guardian, Legion's Blade, or Mjolnir. The best armor that you want is the Battle Armor. It's the best in the business. You take less damage from melee and range attacks if you're lucky. The Tarmat is a really good one since it reduces magic damage guaranteed, but you do have to be in mixed forces. Then it comes down to Aeolus to take less range damage, or Bloodline to take less melee damage. For the helmet, you want Tyr for more damage, you got Aeneas for survivability, and also the Winged Twilight, which adds whatever defensive stats is higher to the other one when entering battle. With the accessory for kill power, you can use either Judge, Slayers, or Prisoners. Some situational ones to maintain lots of attack are Edge of Memories for the skilled cooldown, Blood Nail to be immune to silence, Winged Shin Guard for the defense. If you want something bulky, then you want the Overlord to be immune to stats down and mobility, Swordsmith for silence and fixed damage immunity, the Butterfly to be immune to 1 debuff and heal from it. Some other ones that are really good like the Planet Spear, which does disable accessory in PvP, but in regular content, it lowers the enemy's damage taken. Another one is the Insidious Pendant, which is a great combo alongside the Crystal Stinger for more crits. For the enchant, You can use Clock, Breeze, and I even want to include Meteor so that he has a better chance of one-shotting people. Even Blazing Sun, but that's only if you're running tons of skill and having a ton of crit on him. So if you have the Insidious Pendant with the Crystal Stinger alongside having skill in his Mastery Stones, you have the option to use Blazing Sun. As for enchant stats, it will be all of them to be honest. With the accessory, crit will be amazing if you can get it. It's honestly fun if you get tons of attack on your weapon and accessory, but as always, you do want to focus always on HP and attack. The third substat is a nice bonus if you can manage that. Alright, so hopefully you guys have an idea on how to build your Xeon, so let's go check out his first Awakening stage. So for this stage, you're going to be up against Sherry, Jessica, and then Bozo. So I would say these are like one of your best skills to bring. Of course you want this one for the Act Again, his unique one to attack from 2 blocks, which is great to deal with Sherry. Then last one could be either Roar to lower their attack and int, or either something really powerful like Sword Soul or Thousand Who's. These two are just like really powerful skills, but honestly I would really recommend having Roar so that you lower their damage so that you take less damage than intended. If that's something that you really need at least. So the best soldiers that you want is going to be the Lizard Rider for more damage, the Golden Knight, which is only really good if you're a Cavalry Xeon, the Gallant Duelist is going to be really good, even as a Cavalry too. Steel Winged Warrior are still amazing, even the Mechanical Dragon is really good, just to deal with Sherry, because let's say that you attack her and she still lives, there would be a possibility that she will attack you with a single target skill, and there may be a chance that you can survive. Alright, so for this one, you can't just straight up attack her straight on. The best possibility for you to do would to attack her from 2 blocks and then she does her AoE instead of single target. I would really recommend using his Act Again skill first so that you get his talent buff and then you attack her because you get more damage increase plus the strike first just in case if that she lives and then she comes and attack you with the single target skill. So with this one you can choose the Mercy on her, which doesn't really matter right now. So I'm just gonna cancel it and then she just straight up disappears. But let's say that I want to play really defensive. So let's do that. Let's move all the way back and try to see where we can end up. So right here we do move right here, which I'm kind of surprised because Sherry was in range to use her AoE, which for some reason that she just didn't. So this allows us to move on the wall for the 30% defense, and we are going to use the Act Again for good measure here, you know, since it gives him the talent buff, so means more damage and strike first if needed. So for me it doesn't really matter since I do just one shot, but for you guys you may need it, so right now we can just choose Mercy, but there's really no point, so we just cancel it and Sherry's dead. So with Jessica, not really as scary, just wait for your Act Again skill and you can place right next to the danger zone. And even though she does have AoEs, it does reach 3 blocks, which is the exact amount that she can reach with her normal attack due to the soldiers. So yeah, it looks like I didn't really need the Act Again. I could just honestly just straight up go ahead and kill her. Her stats is very low, so a very good chance that you may one-shot her, but if needed, just go ahead and use the Act Again skill for the buffs. Hopefully you kill her. And this time with Bozo, you do want to step an extra block back because his AoE reaches 3 blocks. And then right here is where you can finish him off. We're just going to go ahead and Act Again just for good measures, and then we're going to go ahead and use an attack skill, and we should be able to kill him. Bozo's still alive, but just stand still. Then there we go. Very straightforward. Just make sure they are making good use of his Act Again skill, and hopefully that's really all that's enough for you guys, since it is the only thing that gives them an advantage. Alright, his 3C. The passive on it, after taking action for the first time or is actively using the skill, all protagonist ally have the stat increase and deal 50% more damage in battle. If a single target skill does not eliminate an enemy, the skill's cooldown is reduced by 1 that lasts for 4 turns. It's a single target skill that dispels 5 buffs before battle. If 2 allies have already died, he gets Destiny before battle, where he does more damage and attacks first. When triggering the Royal Fate effect, the duration of Destiny is increased by 1 that lasts for 2 turns that cannot be dispelled. If this skill does not successfully eliminate an enemy, he can Act Again, which triggers every 2 turns. I honestly wonder if you can use this, and if you pardon the enemy, it will let you Act Again, because technically, you didn't eliminate them, they're still alive. But yeah, his faction buff, amazing. It's really good in regular content to be honest, especially against like those boss fights. In PvP, it's something that you hardly notice. But yeah, I do believe that Xeon has good potential in PvP. Just make sure that he gets to one-shot people, and that's really it. Alright, so if you guys are curious, this is what his 3C animation looks like. Alright, so for the second awakening stage, I typically don't do them unless they're very difficult. This one's really easy. Just step back, let the enemies come to you, and once they do, go crazy. You know, the characters that you get can hard carry you. Just play really smart. That's really all about it. Alright, so with that being said, let's get right on into his showcase. Alright, here we are. Let's have a recap on his talent. So he gets more attack after taking action. If this unit has battled this turn and not eliminated the enemy, he gets Royal Fate, where he does more damage in battle and attacks before the enemy for 2 turns. When initiating battle and dealing fatal damage, he can choose to use Mercy on an enemy, causing him to be immobilized, unable to guard, attack, or use skills on the next turn, and applies Reluctant Battle, where the damage and healing received are reduced by 30% that ignores immunity, and cannot be dispelled for 2 turns. When using Mercy on the enemy, recovers 100% of his HP. So we are going to use a skill right here because it kinda doesn't matter what you do here, whatever way that you attack. So after that, Leon lives, and we do get his Royal Fate if we do check the buffs list, and it basically tells you what his talent already said. So now if we do end up killing Leon here, we do see that he's alive, just chilling, living on 1% HP. So now we do get a skill that pops up, which is his Mercy, which does tell you what its talent already said. So let's go see what this looks like. So we see that Leon is just asleep. So we check Xeon right now, we see the Royal Fate and something else, but we're going into that in a bit. Checking Leon, he's got 2 things that Xeon applied onto him. So there's that. But what happens if we don't do anything? What if we just stand still? Well, Leon just self-destructs and we don't get his talent buff. Although that may be a bit concerning since that's like one of, I would say, 2 of the only advantage that he has. Let's check out his 1C. The passive on it, when there's enemies with Reluctant Battle within 3 blocks, they will die instead of this unit, and when he takes fatal damage, he revives for 20% of his HP. And then to substitute things about like the damage multiplier right there, you don't need to worry about that, unless they have like a really insane healer. But yeah, this thing has a 2-turn cooldown. Using the skills heals him for 30% of his HP, and gets Royal Fate for 2 turns. Afterward, he can move 3 blocks and attack. This is really good. I'm so glad that they did this for him. So by using that, we saw that healing, and plus his talent buff right there. Pretty good, pretty good. And then we're gonna go ahead and attack Leon, and we're gonna kill him all the way through, and then we are gonna choose Mercy on him. So let's just move back and then apply this thing right here. And so because he has Reluctant Battle, Xeon has the ability to revive. So as long as you stay within 3 blocks, he's good. So we have Xeon die right there, and so because we're within 3 blocks of Leon who has Reluctant Battle, he's gonna end up dying instead of Xeon. But yeah, that is his unique way of reviving, which I find it really funny. I honestly think that's hilarious. So yeah, without all that done, we can see the 2-turn cooldown, which I guess is short, but then again, Xeon does have to actually like do work for it to happen, which is not bad as it seems like because he is a hard hitter who can attack first. Now with this 2C, you can attack from 2 blocks that has a 2-turn cooldown. It's a single target skill where if you attack within a melee attack, you dispel 3 enemies buff before battle and can move 3 blocks again after battle. But with the range attack, the skill cooldown is reduced by 1 and soldiers can attack with you. So if you do like a melee attack and plus we have the talent buff, you should be attacking quite safe. So we do a melee attack and then we can move back. So let's just move all the way back here, and then Xeon just does whatever he feels like. Or you know, if you're in a situation where you're gonna use the skill to barely reach the enemy, or you just wanna refresh the skill back, just attack within 2 blocks and there you go. So after killing Leon, we should see the skill cooldown. And the nice part about this is that we do get it back immediately thanks to his faction buff. So we check him, we can see the icon, whereas if we do a melee attack, thanks to his faction buff, it would be on a 1-turn timer. And speaking of his faction buff, he does have a 2C one where it does buff for the protagonist team, and your single target skill does more damage, and if you use it without killing an enemy, the skill cooldown is reduced by 1. Which we're not really going to get into. You should be able to understand that, so we are going to jump right into his 3C, which is basically that but better. So as a passive, you buff up with a protagonist team, you deal 50% more damage in battle, and if your single target skill does not eliminate an enemy, the skill cooldown is reduced by 1 that lasts for 4 turns, just like any other faction buff. This thing is a single target skill where you dispel 5 buffs before battle. If at least 2 allies are already dead, he gets Destiny before battle, which is Royal Fate, but you deal exactly 30% more damage, while being able to attack first. When triggering Royal Fate effect, the duration of Destiny is increased by 1 that lasts for 2 turns, which cannot be dispelled. If this skill does not eliminate an enemy, he can act again, which does have a 2-turn cooldown. So you guys also saw this before when we were checking out the buffs list, so you can see the unique faction buff right there. And this right here is something that Xeon is always going to be getting, because the stuff to activate things does take place before you actually end your turn. And this is also really amazing in regular content if you're running a protagonist team. I also do want to show you guys that right earlier that we did have 2 of our allies die thanks to them sacrificing themselves so that Xeon can show off. So we have Leon right here kill off this aquatic soldier, boom, and then we have Elwin kill off the other one, boom. And then Vargas here just does guarding instead of attacking, but we need exactly 2 allies to die. Go ahead and act again, you know, just to make sure that Xeon kills Leon. So let's go ahead and see what this looks like. Yo, so there we go. So right there you guys saw that the clock sound effect. Let's just go ahead and show mercy on Leon. And so this way, by doing this, we can act again. And also we see Destiny if we see the buffs list, which is basically Royal Fate, but you just deal more damage. So yeah, if I place Xeon better, I would probably let him attack someone else, but you get the point. You see the vision right there. So let's go ahead and attack Leon again. This is something I didn't show you guys because I feel like it was kind of unnecessary, but you can attack them again and then you can still show them mercy. So let's go ahead and do that. And since we killed Leon, but not exactly fully kill him, we still keep the turn duration on Destiny, whereas if we just let Leon die, the timer would go down. So I can go ahead and show you guys that. So let's go ahead and go all the way back and then let's just do nothing, and then boom, you saw it went from 3 to 2. Honestly, this is really good if you can keep it up. Just make sure that he's always constantly attacking, because obviously better than Royal Fate. And if we do go ahead and act again, we should, yeah, it's right there, the timer went up because by acting again you would get Royal Fate. Pretty good stuff. You honestly kind of want to treat Xeon exactly the same way as SB Sherry, just on a bit of a tighter restriction, because you do want to always use this 3C for that magic to happen. Just make sure you always use the 3C, put it at again, and then you can choose to mercy or let him live. I think Vargas has arrived, so we should be able to get the at again right here. So at again right there, and then we can do literally anything else. So I guess we can just attack Vargas again since he is almost dead, stuff like that. Or you know, I can maybe attack Imelda or Egbert for a sneak attack. You know, get that double kill. You know, like I said, just kind of treat him like you're using SB Sherry. But don't forget, make sure you're always using his 3C, which is why you may see people run clock on him, because act again is always really good. So, overall, Xeon is about as straightforward as he can be. He doesn't really do anything too special. He has the best protagonist faction buff in the game in my opinion. He can already hit quite hard thanks to his talent, plus that skill cooldown is something that you'll always proc in situations like in Ragnarok stages, in like regular content and stuff, and it's something that he's always going to be getting thanks to his unique mechanic, where you can choose whether or not the enemy lives. And that stuff activates before you can choose to use mercy on them or not. So he's going to have a constant 2C skill. If you are attacking from a range, that is, but it's still a very fast cooldown nonetheless. Everything activates before his turn ends, so there's really no worry about that. Honestly, you're always going to be doing that if you're in a rough situation, showing them mercy, so that you get the revive for him. In PvP though, I'm a believer. He can hit quite hard, and it's something that he needs to always do in order to kill, because it's the only thing that he can do besides being this faction buffer for the protagonist team. Once you can manage that, his threat level becomes the same as Vincent in a sense, right? I would honestly treat it the same as that, where if you kill him, you get punished for it, and they don't mind having you kill them because they kind of get rewarded for that. If you are using some of the crazier builds like using Meteor Xeon or even Blazing Sun Xeon, I can see him one-shotting tanks. Unless they are using Lancer soldiers, then it's a no-go because Xeon doesn't have the Vanguard, nor will his fly soldiers help him accomplish that. And doesn't even have unicorns, so he can get screwed over by certain maps. So he's only going to be great in like the open maps, where mobility isn't really that much of an issue. So this is my take on him in PvP. I'm a believer. In PvE, I'd say we can finally make a proper protagonist team without relying on Matthew or Lovina, since with them, they have to waste a skill slot. Alright, so that was Xeon's showcase. Not bad to use in PvE. If you need a really good damage dealer, then Xeon is a really good one. But all you gotta know is that he's just a pure damage dealer and nothing more than that. If you can get his 3C, even better, so that he doesn't have to waste a skill slot just for his faction buff. But then again, it's also really good because of the skill cooldown, so it's really good to fight against like the tougher enemies with lots of HP, like maybe if you can go up against the eternal bosses, or Ragnarok stages, and even Ancient Beckoning. His talent and his 2C skill are going to be up always if you bring him over there. He's going to be a core member and is very consistent in the damage departments. In PvP, there is potential, I would say. It's really amazing that he can deal strong damage so that he can actually kill people to make use of his talents. Just make sure that you do always use his 3C because it gives him the act again, so that means you can do a possible double kill, or if the enemy survives, you can attack them again to hopefully kill him to get his mercy up. Or something else like attack them, then act again, then pull off a sneak attack. Very straightforward gameplay, so I can't imagine it being very difficult to understand how he works. You know, he's nothing like his bandit partner where bundies really matter. Well, that's all I got. If you guys did enjoy this video, feel free to like and subscribe when to see more, and feel free to let me know down in the comments how you guys feel about Xeon. So yeah, thanks for watching. Your fellow Z.